I was 52 when the final nail hit. Lost my dream job overnight. The career that I built for decades, gone. 8 months later, I wasn't co-parenting anymore. I found myself a single father to my son who's on the autism spectrum. Everything that I thought that I knew about my life, my identity, my future, completely upended. I had to learn how to date again in my 50s. I felt like a teenager with gray hair and a completely different life than any women that I was meeting. I had to figure out how to be the primary parent to a child with special needs while also rebuilding my entire professional identity. I had to redefine what professional success meant when my old scoreboard didn't exist anymore. But here's what 25 years of training and coaching executives taught me that I had to apply to my own life. You have to take initiative to discover who you're becoming, not just mourn who you used to be. This is what I call second half mastery. When you stop letting life happen to you and start making life happen for you. When you realize that everything that you've been through, the career hits, the relationship changes, the parenting challenges, all of those aren't the end of your story. It's just preparing you for the next chapter. Most men hit their 40s and 50s thinking the best years are behind them. That's the lie that's keeping you stuck. See, when you take initiative in your second half of life, when you actually step into the unknown instead of hiding behind what's familiar, you become the architect of your future, not the victim of your circumstances. In my executive coaching work, I've watched leaders transform at every age. You want to know the most powerful transitions? They happen when someone has enough experience to know what matters and enough time left to do something about it. But here's what I see in so many men my age. They want certainty 24/7. They've lost their courage because they're waiting for someone to hand them a roadmap or give them permission for their 50s, their 60s, and beyond. Real leadership, the kind that transforms your second half, means stepping into uncertainty even when it doesn't feel safe. Even when you don't have all the answers. Not asking, am I too old for this? But rather, can I grow here? Can I contribute here? Can I lead from this place, even if it feels completely foreign? Now, if this resonates with you, drop leader in the comments down below. Here's the thing. At 52, I had to step into uncertainty about my career. I had to step into uncertainty about my single parenting with a child on the autism spectrum. I had to step into uncertainty about what life would look like moving forward. Now, as I sit here at 55, I have clarity, I have confidence, I have purpose. You have to take initiative and discover the new version of yourself and practice being that over and over and over again. That's second half mastery. Taking command of your remaining decades. Being forward focused and growth oriented instead of being backwards looking and regret focused. This is what creates the life that you want in your second half. The deeper relationships, the meaningful work, the financial security, the respect from your children. None of this happens without stepping into the unknown and taking ownership of your evolution. Look, I get it. You may have been fighting your next chapter for years. You've been resisting those deeper impulses to grow, to lead differently, to love differently, to contribute at a level that matches your life's experiences. You've been your own worst enemy, even though you have the wisdom, the skills, and the calling. And the only thing that breaks through this resistance is intentional clarity. After coaching hundreds of executives through major life transitions, I've seen men who transform their second halves of their lives versus those who just survive it. The difference comes down to just that thing, intentional clarity. And there's 3 elements that I'm going to share with you. First is future identity visioning. This answers, who am I becoming? When I was 52, facing single fatherhood and a career rebuild, I could have asked, how did I end up here? Instead, I had to ask, who am I becoming through this? Your brain needs a compelling picture of future identity. When you start to ask, what if this phase is where I finally integrate everything that I've learned, instead of, what if my best years are behind me? When you start to think that way, everything shifts. What if in your 40s, 50s, and 60s, that's where you do your most meaningful work? What if the relationships you build now are deeper than anything you had in your younger years? For me, what if raising my son with autism is teaching me leadership lessons that I never learned or taught in any corporate boardroom? Most men have negative future identity programming. What if it's too late? What if I'm washed? What if I missed my window? These thoughts kill momentum before it even gets to start. When your future identity is in a generative state, you see yourself as still becoming, and that's when you start to take different actions. The second one is meaningful intensity. This is the emotional fuel behind your vision. A lot of men know they want something different for their second half, but there's no fire. There's no deep connection to why it matters. They're just going through the motions because they haven't yet identified what they're actually building towards. Think of it like this. A master craftsman doesn't work with intensity because he's rushing. He works with intensity because he knows exactly what he's creating and exactly why it matters. The more disconnected you are from what truly matters to you, not what you think should matter, but what actually does, the more you drain your intensity. But when you get clear on the legacy you want to leave, the father you want to be, the husband you want to be, the partner you want to be, the friend you want to be, the man that you want to be at 70 and 80, that creates sustainable fire. For me, watching my son navigate a world that doesn't always understand him taught me what real strength looks like. That intensity comes from knowing that how I show up matters, not just for me, but for him. And then third is strategic urgency. This is your timeline for transformation. Most men lack urgency because they've never held themselves accountable to their own growth. They've never said, this is who I'm becoming by a specific time. Now, here's one of the things that 25 years of executive coaching taught me. Leaders who transform give themselves deadlines and frameworks for who they're becoming, not just what they're achieving. If you don't create accountability for your evolution, don't be surprised when years pass by and nothing changes. I had to give myself deadlines for becoming the father that my son needed, for building the business that would support us, and for becoming the man who could handle whatever comes next. Some people say, that sounds like pressure. I say, good. You need the right kind of pressure. The kind that comes from knowing your time is precious and your potential is still expanding. That pressure you choose, the urgency you create around becoming who you're meant to be, that's what transforms ordinary men into the leaders their families and their communities desperately need. At 55, as a single father to a son on the autism spectrum, running a business built on helping other leaders grow, I can tell you this with absolute certainty. Your second half isn't about just recovering from your first half. It's about mastery because of your first half. The question isn't whether you're too old to reinvent yourself. The question is, are you brave enough to become who your experience has prepared you to be? Hey, if this resonated with you, let me know in the comments. And if you're ready to connect with other men who are asking these same questions, please subscribe to this channel. I promise you there's a lot more to come. Your best chapter isn't behind you. It's just waiting for you to write it.